All right, let's dive right into this explainer. The mystery of the immortal jellyfish. Meet the Turritopsis dohrnii. It is an absolute biological rule breaker, a fascinating little creature that completely defies the natural aging process as we know it. Today we're going to unpack exactly how this tiny marvel achieves the impossible, looking at the mechanics and the incredible survival strategy that makes it literally one of the most unique species on the planet.
So it begs the question, can a creature truly live forever? As humans, we constantly have this desire to just turn back the clock, to be young again, or even just hit the pause button on aging. But for us, and honestly for almost every other species on Earth, that's biologically impossible. Aging is a one-way street, right? Well, the reality for the immortal jellyfish is entirely different. It possesses the literal ability to transform itself back into a younger stage of life, seemingly outsmarting death altogether.
Now, before we get into the heavy science of how it actually pulls this off, I really want you to appreciate the scale we're talking about here. 4.5 millimeters. That's the average width of this creature. It's literally smaller than your pinky fingernail. And like all jellyfish, it has no brain, no heart, no bones, and it's made up mostly of water. Yet this incredible, brainless, heartless little drop of water is holding biological secrets that the greatest human minds can barely even comprehend.
To truly appreciate this marvel, we first need to look at a normal jellyfish life cycle. We need to understand exactly what rules our tiny protagonist is breaking.
So, for most jellyfish, life is a super strict sequential progression. Step 1, it begins as a free-swimming planula, which is a drifting larva. Then, step 2, it attaches to a surface and transforms into a polyp colony, kind of a fixed, tube-like creature. Eventually, step 3, it produces miniature jellyfish that grow into the adult medusa phase. And normally, that's it. They grow, they age, and eventually they die.
Reversing the aging process. This is where the story completely shifts. The Turritopsis dohrnii simply does not accept that final stage. When it's faced with extreme environmental challenges, it doesn't just die. Instead, it triggers an astonishing survival mechanism that essentially smashes the rewind button on its own biological clock. Now, it's really important to note that this isn't just some passive trait, it's a full-blown emergency response. The immortal jellyfish begins reversing its life cycle specifically when it faces intense stress. We're talking about stress triggers like starving, getting physically injured, or being exposed to sudden harsh conditions in the ocean. When that happens, the adult medusa stops aging forward. It completely halts its normal biological progression.
Let's look at how this sequence actually builds. Step 1, the adult medusa physically begins to shrink, and it retracts its tentacles. Step 2, it transforms into this little round cyst. And finally, step 3, within just a matter of days, this cyst develops into a brand new polyp colony. It literally reverts back to its juvenile state to begin its life all over again. No way, right?
Nature's cellular secrets. I mean, how is this physical regression even possible? How do you take a fully formed adult body and basically melt it back down into an infant state? Well, to find out, we have to zoom way in to the cellular level.
The secret weapon here is a process called transdifferentiation. Basically, this is the process where specialized adult cells completely reorganize themselves, converting one type of cell directly into another to rebuild tissue. The jellyfish is literally reusing its adult cells to rebuild its entire body from within. Think about how completely alien this is to our own biology. In humans, once a cell is assigned a role, say a muscle cell or a nerve cell, it is locked in permanently. Fixed roles. But the immortal jellyfish cells are highly adaptable. They can just abandon their current roles and reorganize entirely to rebuild that younger polyp structure.
But, cellular reorganization is only half the battle here. You also have to protect your genetic code. At the ends of our chromosomes are these tiny protective caps called telomeres. I love this quote for explaining it. Telomeres work like the plastic tips on shoelaces, preventing DNA from becoming damaged. They stop the DNA from fraying during cell division.
The big problem for human DNA is that every single time our cells divide, those protective telomeres shorten and wear down. Over the years, they wear down so much that our cells can't function properly anymore, and that directly contributes to human aging. But jellyfish DNA? It's a whole different ballgame. Scientists believe it uses a special enzyme called telomerase to actively repair and rebuild its telomeres before any real damage happens. This is exactly how its cells stay so remarkably healthy, letting it successfully return to that earlier life stage time and time again.
Biological recovery mode.
While all this incredibly heavy cellular lifting and DNA repair is happening, the jellyfish has to undergo a massive shift in its behavior. Researchers have actually observed that during this rejuvenation, the jellyfish slows down all of its normal day-to-day activities. Things like growth and movement just stop. It redirects all of its energy toward repairing those cells, protecting that DNA, and rebuilding its new body. It's essentially entering a deep biological recovery mode, shutting off absolutely everything non-essential to execute a total system reset.
So is it truly invincible? With all these amazing superpowers, transdifferentiation, telomere repair, reversing its life cycle, it is super easy to think of this creature as some unkillable superhero of the sea. But let's bring it back to reality for just a second. We really need to distinguish between being biologically immortal and being physically invincible, because they are definitely not the same thing.
The honest truth is, it's not truly invincible. Despite having this extraordinary survival strategy to pause and reverse aging, it's still a tiny, very fragile creature living in a highly dangerous ocean. It has real vulnerabilities. It can easily be eaten by predators. It can succumb to ocean-borne diseases, or it can be killed by severe physical injury before it ever gets a chance to trigger its recovery mode. So yes, it's biologically immortal, but practically speaking, it is highly vulnerable to the natural world.
Yet its ability to repeatedly reverse aging remains one of the most absolutely extraordinary survival strategies we have ever discovered in nature. Which leaves us with a pretty fascinating thought to end our explainer on today. What could human science eventually learn from this tiny, brainless marvel? I mean, if we can unlock the exact mechanics of its telomere repair and its cellular transdifferentiation, could those secrets one day impact how we treat human disease, or even human aging itself? It's a massive puzzle that scientists are desperately trying to solve, and one that absolutely proves that sometimes the biggest secrets in the universe come in the smallest, most unexpected packages.